What's up, Juventini? After a revolutionary summer window put together by Cristiano Giuntoli by popular request from all of you, we are going to break down the entire Mercato from Juventus. That's right. Take a look at all the outgoing moves, all the incoming moves. Take a look at the finances and ask that major question. What do we rate it? But how are we set up for the future after this window? All right, we're going to take a look at all of that together right now. So let's get into it. We're going to kick things off with the outgoing deals and do it in terms of the biggest value. So Matthias Süle first up. 25.6 million euros what he was sold to Roma. There is 4 million euros in bonuses there and 10% future sell-on clause. Obviously, this one was a hot topic amongst the fan base. Many Juventini did not want us to see him gone. But in the end, we get a lot in terms of capital gain out of this deal. We purchased him in 2019 for 2.57 million euros. All right, so the deal was almost pure profit for Matthias Süle. In terms of the coverage, well, we did get nervous because we didn't add to our offensive targets until the final week of the Mercato. However, now that it's finished, a lot say he wouldn't have even been getting many minutes at all based on who we have. Agree? Disagree? Let me know in the comments. Huijsen, another move that was contested and one player that now after the Mercato is finished, some still say would have potentially been a starter at Juventus this season. I disagree, but what do you think? The deal for him was 15.2 million euros to Bournemouth. There is 3 million euros in bonuses, a 10% future sell-on clause, and we picked him up for 420,000 euros back in 2021. So again, a move that was pure profit. Those two moves alone helped us in terms of the capital gains towards the books and allowed us to move forward in the Mercato. And when we get to the incoming, we landed key pieces. So I don't think we can ultimately be upset whatsoever with where we finished. Now we get to Illing Jr. 14 million euros he was sold to Aston Villa. There is a 10% future sell-on clause. He brought in close to 12 million euros in terms of capital in the move that also saw Douglas Luiz come to Juventus from Aston Villa. The other piece of that deal was Barnechea, and that was 8 million euros for Barnechea with 3 million in variables that could also be coming in the future and 10% sell-on clause. He brought us 5.5 million euros to good in terms of capital for the books, all right? And the story on both of them, they have not hit it off well at Aston Villa. We know that Illing Jr. has since been loaned to Bologna, all right? So that's where Illing Jr. is right now. As far as Fede Chiesa goes, he was sold to Liverpool for 12 million euros. All right. And there are add-ons there which have not been clearly defined. And there is, again, next to nothing in terms of gain here, a little bit of a negative on the 23-24 balance books, but once those add-ons kick in, it'll go to the next set of books and essentially make the slate clean. But Chiesa goes to Liverpool. Moise Kean, he went to Fiorentina, 13 million euros. 5 million euros in bonuses. And when you look at Kean, again, slight hit for 23-24 books, but in the end, we will make out just a little over break even once those bonuses kick in. 3 million are apparently very easy to achieve, 2 million in more difficult incentives. With that 3 million added to the 13 million purchase price, that takes us to 16, which is just slightly over the break even point. But again, will show in the books for 23-24 as a negative. Then you have Coney de Winter, 8 million euros to Genoa, and he was free back in 2018, so that is a pure profit move for Juventus, as that one, the obligation kicked in for Genoa to purchase him after the appearances set last season. Then you have Caio Jorge, 7.2 million euros sold to Cruzeiro, and we picked him up for 7 million back in 2021. So on the books will show as a bit of a gain based on what he stood us remaining, all right? So that is essentially it for outgoing business, where we saw financials on. There was a very, very inexpensive loan for Facundo Gonzalez to Feyenoord with option to purchase. But the other good buys that we saw were this. Sandro, contract ended. Rabiot, contract ended. Frabotta, leaving, contract ended. Miretti, a loan to Genoa. All right, Rugani, loan to Ajax. Caviglia, loan to Venezia, and there is obligation to purchase there for 5 million euros plus bonuses. De Sciglio, loan to Empoli, and then we know Wojciech Szczesny has retired, all right? But that was after picking up a severance and essentially cutting the salary he would have been due in half to say goodbye, and he has officially retired. That is all the goodbyes Juventus said this summer. All right, that comes to a total of 103.5 million euros that came in based on all those goodbyes. Now we're going to get to the incoming. All right, for the incoming, hey, very, very exciting. But again, we're going to do this in order of the highest value. So right out of the gate, we're going to kick things off with RoboCop. Cope Miners, all right? So Cope Miners comes in for 54.7 million euros, okay? There is 6 million euros bonuses on top of that. This can be paid in 5 installments, all right? So 5 years worth of installments for Cope Miners. Keep an eye as we go through this on these payment plans, okay? But he comes in on a salary of 4.5 million euros until 2029, and the salaries are net, okay? Douglas Luiz, 51.5 million euros, and that is payable over 4 years. Another contract at 4.5 million net until 2029. Okay, Kefren Turam, 20.6 million euros. All right, there is also 600,000 euros that could go to Nice in terms of bonuses. That is also payable over 3 years. His contract, 2 million net until 2029. Okay, now we get to Cabal. Cabal, we scooped right from under Inter's nose, 12.8 million euros. There is also a 2 million euro bonus based on certain criteria. He is payable in 3 years as well, and he comes in with a salary of 1.2 million net until 2029. Could Cabal be the biggest surprise signing out of everyone we brought in? The numbers behind this move are fantastic, and all signs indicate to him getting some major minutes this season for Juventus. Now we get to Nico Gonzalez, all right? So he comes in on an 8.4 million loan. The purchase price is 25 million euros, and there is bonus set up that could go anywhere from 3 million to 5 million euros, payable in 3 years. His contract, 3.6 million euros net until 2029, all right? Conceição, 7 million euro loan. There could be bonuses up to 3 million euros based on certain criteria. And as far as what happens in the future, there is a release clause there that apparently starts at 30 million euros. Then in August hits 45 million euros. But Juve will get first priority on that release clause. Conceição, that could be a major future piece. Look forward to seeing him this season. Then we get to Di Gregorio, which opened the door for the goodbye to Wojciech Szczesny. 4.5 million euro loan, then becomes 13.5 million purchase price. There are bonuses that could go anywhere from 800,000 euros to 2 million in bonuses. It's payable over 3 years. His contract, 2 million net until 2029. All right, that could be a great piece of business too, locking him in. The guy that won best Serie A goalkeeper last season. That's a good piece of business if you ask me. Then we get to Kalulu, 3.3 million euro loan. You've got 14 million euro option to purchase with 3 million in bonuses that could be payable over 3 years. All right, we're going to get to these payables. Don't worry about that. And then you have 3 names from Next Gen getting added into the mix. Rohi, Imbangula, and Savona. All of those, of course, absolutely free. So that makes up your incoming for a total of 162.8 million euros. All right, so Outgoing, you have 103.5 million of total business. Incoming, 162.8 million. That means that we overspent by 59.3 million euros. But again, we saw healthy capital in our outgoing, and the way the football finances work are the purchase prices are actually amortized throughout the contract length. So we actually set ourselves up quite nicely. Now, the payment plan on all these incoming players, is this going to affect the future for Juventus? Well, we have started off with a solid foundation. We built a much better foundation than I think any of us would have anticipated this summer. All right, so the payment plans, that just helps us. But in the future, we've got a lot less work to do at filling and rounding out this team based on what we've done now. So the payment plans are not an issue. And the salaries that we brought the players in, that's to our benefit as well, because if we do look to move anyone in the future, well, you've got the right contract set up in order to do so. In terms of value of the players, well, Cope Miners and Douglas Luiz are the biggest values. And did we overspend? Maybe a bit. But again, if you're locking into these guys for even a couple years after the amortization, you should be safe. But we have even more to gain on other players like Kefren Turam, Cabal, Nico Gonzalez, and Conceição. Should he hit it off with us and we pick him up, all of those players' values could skyrocket, all right? And even Di Gregorio's value could increase significantly. And that is one of the things we are going to look at, because it has been a problem in previous years, is getting players and their value taking a nosedive, all right? So those are some of the things we're going to look at this Juventus. But that is the Mercato that went down 24-25 in a nutshell. Some say this was revolutionary and could be iconic and up there with the 2001 summer. Well, is it? Maybe. But that will be determined with what happens on the pitch, all right? And I can't wait to watch this season unfold. For the rating, as far as I go, it's a 9 out of 10 Mercato, all right? I say 9 out of 10. Incredible business, way more than we would have anticipated, and we have a much stronger 11 heading into this season. Yes, there are some misses. Okay, we might have been better off with a stronger defender coming in, and you could still ask the question about a Vice Vlahovic, but I believe Motta has a plan for both scenarios, and he thinks he is rounded enough. And don't forget, the Mercato may be closed, but free agency is still open. What's your rating for this Mercato, and will it become iconic? Can't wait to hear all of you in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this video. As always, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel and join our AJC army. Till next time, fino alla fine, forza Juventus. Ciao tutti.